Hey there, Joshua Hanlon here at Brick Fair, Virginia, and today I'm super excited to be with Dan Siskind from Brickmania. You've seen him and his incredible creations over the years on Beyond the Brick, but today he has truly outdone himself with this massive USS Makin Island build. So Dan, before we dive into the details, why don't you give us an overview of what this whole thing is?
Well, the Makin Island is an amphibious assault ship, so it's a giant taxi to bring Marines to wherever they need to go. So it's amphibious assault. So it brings the Marines by sea, it's run by the Navy, and 1,600 Marines or more will live on this thing, ready to pounce on wherever they need to be sent to. This thing will deliver either by sea or by air. So
then this would be different from an aircraft carrier then, from that perspective.
Well, technically it is an aircraft carrier because aircraft do land and take off on it, but it does not have like catapults, so it can't fly like F-18s or something, like that can't fly from this. But it does have a fighter capability with the F-35s. Used to use Harriers, and now it's F-35s. They're phasing the Harriers out, but mostly it's just to deliver, angry Marines ashore. That's it. You'll have an air wing, typically Ospreys, but you'll have the CH-53s as well. And then there's like escort helicopters, so you have the Vipers and the Cobras and the Hueys. So
what's the history of this particular ship then?
Well, this is the most recent of the amphibious assault ships that has a dock, so LHD. So it's LHD-8. It's the most modern of all of them. There's 7 previous ships of the same class. It's a WASP class ship. This one's different. It's unique in it has a dual power train. It has turbines and diesel power, so it can cruise at a more economical cruising speed, save fuel, save cost. So
let's take a look at the top deck then. Maybe take us through some of the various vehicles and aircraft that we have on top.
Sure. Well, the deck right now, it's obviously not in a finished state because it's stud showing, which will all be tiled over, but we have the CH-53s. All the vehicles that are on the deck are either current Brickmania kits or past Brickmania kits. So CH-53s is this monster here. It has 3 turbines in it. It's a heavy lift helicopter. The helicopter directly behind that's a Cobra. It's an AH-1Z Viper. So it's a variation of the Huey Cobra. The same helicopter in Vietnam, but it's a navalized version for the Marine Corps. Twin engine. Marines like twin engines and everything if they can get it. So, and then the aircraft directly behind these are Ospreys. So V-22, it's a Bell Huey thing, or Bell Boeing makes this.
A lot of company names to keep track of.
Right. So this was our Osprey kit. There's another one down there that has its wings actually fully deployed, Marines loading up in the back, but. This is a vertical takeoff, vertical landing aircraft, so it can fly directly off like a helicopter, and then the wings fold forward, and it can fly in airplane mode. So these are delivered. They basically deliver Marines to a destination over the horizon. So further than you can see, this ship will be so far out in the ocean you won't see it offshore. But suddenly you could be, swarmed by a dozen of these Ospreys carrying, each one carrying like 20, 30 Marines in it. So.
That's incredible. So as we move closer or towards the middle, I guess, of this, you can still see, like you mentioned, a work in progress, but what do we have here?
It's definitely a work in progress. I mean, 2 weeks ago, this superstructure didn't exist. So I've been building, we were in Nebraska Brick Days in Omaha last weekend, and I was actually working on it there. So this is a superstructure. There's a piece missing. I accidentally left it in the Brickmania warehouse, but you can actually see inside the ship. It is hollow. It is essentially a hollow box. So it's a good opportunity to look inside. But you can also see that there's no antennas, all the radars and stuff, they're all missing. So I'm still very much working on this thing. So
but you can certainly see kind of the overall structure of it and where it's headed.
Right. Yeah, every major component is here, except this one piece of the roof here.
As we're looking inside here, this is a good time to talk about the internal structure, which this thing is just incredible. How long is this?
It's like a couple inches short of 25 feet. So it's the same length as the Missouri. Missouri had that crane on the back, so you could actually cheat it and make that over 25. But it's about 25 feet long. It's built in 5-foot sections, and they're essentially just gigantic boxes built out of Lego. And there's no glue, no metal frame, no wood frame, nothing inside. It's all Lego, self-supporting. I could stand on this thing, no problem. It's just like the Missouri. I could stand on the deck of this one. So.
Yeah. So for people who saw our Missouri videos over the years, you certainly had some good experience coming into this build.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from traveling around. The original plan was actually to recycle the Missouri's traveling crates to put this thing in to get it on the road. And when we realized the deck is too tall, it won't fit in the crates. So This one doesn't even travel in crates. We take the pieces and just stick them in the van and put them in a rolling rack, basically. So it's sturdy enough that we hit potholes. It doesn't fall apart. It's well built, I should say.
So then when you bring this to a show, you just kind of push those sections together, essentially?
Yeah, it takes 4 of us. Each section's very heavy. So especially the bow section where that curved hull, that's probably like 200 pounds. So it takes 4 of us to get it off the rack and move it around. These sections back here, they're more like hollow boxes. They're not quite as difficult to move around. But yeah, we push it around on the floor, and it's designed to be on the floor. It's not going to be on ever be on any kind of pedestal or anything like that. It's just too tall. Kids wouldn't be able to see it if it was up high.
So then with a build of this size, what's the building process been like at the Brickmania headquarters as you've been tackling this? Are there blueprint plans? How does that work?
Well, we blew up a model of it, basically a 3D model, and said this is how big it's got to be, and then we used our vinyl printer to print that out. So we have a scale set of drawings that we can model, look at the model versus what we're building, and we can generally get all the main components in the right spot doing that. But the rest of all the small details, it's literally studying pictures and trying to copy that and guess how far apart different hatches and ladders and stuff are. That's kind of tricky, but now that we have the thing built, we can always adjust it if we have to. We find that we've made some sort of small mistake, we can always make adjustment later. And it's designed to be that over the years as we build it, we'll be able to keep upgrading it. So if they make upgrades to the ship, we can upgrade ours as well. So
it's like real-time additions.
Yeah. So we're going to try to keep it current. The air wing that's on here now is just a composite. We just grabbed all the kits that we could find, but we will actually eventually put the right aircraft on the ship with the right numbers, right markings, and everything. So.
That is super cool. So, you talked about how these kits, the stuff that's on the deck here are kits from Brickmania. So you guys obviously spend a lot of time designing and building all of that. Yeah. So then how many people are committed to working on the massive, model of the ship itself, and how did that workload kind of work?
Well, originally we started out, a year and a half ago when we started this project, we kind of we'll do our work, and then at the end of the week, whatever's left over, we'll go work on the Makin Island. And it turned out that we all got so busy that we started it, got to a really good start, and then we got too busy, and then COVID happened, and then we couldn't work on it. We didn't have any people at the warehouse, so I worked on it a little bit last year, like the 4th of July weekend when I didn't have anything else to do, and then it sat and sat and sat, and so then finally, when things started rolling again, hey, we're going to start having events, and we're like, oh, we got to get serious about finishing this. So the last 2 months, I've been working around the clock pretty much on this, splitting my time between the Makin Island and the Roman fortresses the kits that we're making. So I had to design one during the day, and then at night I'd come in and do a second shift building the Makin until the Roman fort was done. Then it was just round the clock Makin Island, 7 days a week for the last month.
That is amazing. So let's keep making our way down here. Are there any other helicopters or aircraft that are new to this part?
Yep. Well, these Venom, this helicopter here, this is a UH-1Y, which is the same helicopters that the Army and the Navy used in Vietnam, but this is a modern version. Again, twin turbine, Marine Corps version, slightly stretched. It's also used by Cal Fire. It's really modern. It's the most modern version of the Huey there is. So it's used, not necessarily exclusively by the Marines, but it's their favorite utility helicopter. And the Marine Corps doesn't really like big things because they like smaller helicopters they can stow inside of ships, whereas the Army doesn't have that restriction, or the Air Force. So this black one on the end here is actually a prototype for another Black Hawk that we will be producing. So this is what I do in my hotel room after the show is I commit this to digital version so I can make instructions. That goes into production on Tuesday, so I never get a break.
Well, we appreciate it, the fans appreciate it, and one thing that I love about that you've included here, just to give an idea of the insane scale of this build, is this model down here that fits inside it. So talk about what this is and then how that incorporates into the inside of the ship.
So that is an LCAC, and that stands for Landing Craft Air Cushion, LCAC. And the Makin Island, because there's this well deck, it has a door in the back of the ship that you could literally drive a hovercraft inside of. And the real ship can have 3 of these hovercraft inside, so they can take these hovercraft, load them up with troops and weapons and vehicles, basically fly them ashore on a cushion of air, drop them off, come back and get more guys and bring it back and forth. Because these helicopters aren't big enough to put, and the Ospreys aren't big enough to put vehicles in. So this is delivering all the vehicles. So this ship is big enough. I think 1,600 is the normal Marine complement here. That's almost an entire Marine expeditionary unit. So they could deliver all these guys to shore, and then they can convert the ship into a hospital if they need to. So it has a huge sick bay in itself, but if like there actually is a battle and they have a lot of casualties, they will turn the ship into a floating hospital after that.
So these are very kind of multi-purpose ships in a lot of different ways.
And they joke about it being called the Gator Freighter because it's really just designed to drop off Marines and equipment in shore. And it's not particularly fast, it's not particularly glamorous, but it gets the job done. It's the biggest sort of a ship of its kind. Not just in the United States Navy, but in the world. There's nothing like that compares to this.
So for you guys building a modern ship like this, is it easy to find all those plans? I know you said you had kind of a model of it. Is any of that kind of kept secret at all, or are you able to really kind of figure out the configuration pretty easily?
We had to watch videos. I watched YouTube videos to figure like, oh, that ramp goes there. Just there isn't much. There's not a whole lot of documentation on this. And because it's new, I'm sure a lot of it's still classified, and they won't tell you how big this door is or how, because then they can, the enemy can estimate what its capabilities are. So they do keep that stuff secret, and we don't have military clearance, so we don't ask the designers for plans. It's just more secret, more stuff, more responsibility that we want. We're toy designers. We're not necessarily like military contractors or something.
There you go. No, that makes sense. So one thing that you'll notice right now is a lot of this still has the studs showing. Are there plans to tile this whole thing at some point?
Absolutely. So I think about up to this point, there's probably about 2,000 hours of work. I've probably done about 90% of that myself. And at the rate we're going, I probably have another 1,000 hours of work until this thing is considered finished. So every stud you see means that there's something missing, which in this case, the deck has to be tiled. We're going to print little tie-down tiles and space those out, and then put the rest of the decking on. But the side of the hull will be tiled. There's just all these catwalks and ugly little warts and antennas and radars and missile systems that just aren't on it yet. So that'll all be coming soon.
We'll look forward to an update video then at some show in the future after all of that, but I'm always amazed by the amount of effort that you and the rest of the Brickmania team put into these builds. It's so impressive, and thank you so much for bringing this out to the show.
Oh, thank you for giving it a spotlight.